All right. So, good morning. I am so excited. I got to hit continue. I am so excited to have you all here. We have the amazing Sandra Stodola. Again, she's a physician assistant with the Oak Orchard Health Center. I just thank you for your time. First of all, this is a holiday season so for you to take the time out just to meet with us, we are thrilled. Um, so I just ask that you get us started. Tell us a little bit about you, where you work, and how you got started.
Sure. Well, first, thanks for inviting me to this. I really do feel like a celebrity today. Nobody asked me to talk to them about what I do. I feel really, really pumped about it. So thanks, guys, for showing up. Um, oh, and for inviting me. So I am a pediatric physician assistant, which means that I see kids all day long. I work in a health center, so it's just basically an outpatient clinic. So we do a lot of well child visits or just basic sick visits. We do follow some other things as well, but basically mostly just minor things. There are a lot of different PAs in the world that do other exciting things, like work in the hospital, work long hours, but I definitely like the outpatient setting. I like it slow paced and normal hours, things like that. So that's kind of basically what I do. I'm sorry, what was the next question? How did I get here?
Yeah. So tell
Oh,
me
that's a very long story. Are you ready for that?
we are. We're excited.
Okay, so it feels like it wasn't that long ago that I was in your shoes, all in high school, trying to figure out, what to do, where to go, because it's so terrifying. Who knows what they really want to do when you're 16 or 17. I had no idea. So I started in accounting. That didn't work out. Then I decided I wanted to go into nursing. There was a waiting list for that, and I am sort of an impatient person, so I didn't want to do that. I decided I really liked the medical field, and that was what I wanted to do. So I got a little degree in medical assisting. So I did that for about 5 or 6 years. Oh, my cat wants to say hello. I'm really sorry. That's rude. So medical assisting for about 5 or 6 years. And that's when I found out that there was such a profession as a physician assistant. I had no idea. I was really interested in going to medical school, but at that time, I had graduated high school and I was out for 5 years. That seemed like a lot of schooling. Not excited about that. So I learned about the PA profession. I found out that you had to get just a bachelor's degree, and then after that, it was 2 years. And then you're out and practicing and seeing patients and like literally saving lives and helping people. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. So, it took me a little bit longer to get my bachelor's degree as I was working as a medical assistant. I got the bachelor's degree in biology. And then, right after that, I applied for PA school. I did have a misconception that if you were smart enough and you had all the grades that you could just get into PA school. I thought they just let you in. That's not the case. So I got to, I didn't get into the first school that I applied to and interviewed to. But like I said, this is what I wanted to do. This is where I'm going. And so I was pretty determined. I ended up applying to 15 schools about. I got interviews at 2 of them, and I got into the second one that I interviewed at, and that was in Tennessee. So I was really excited to kind of move around and explore things. And then, PA school itself is very difficult. It's challenging. It's pretty much med school, just kind of condensed into 2 years instead of a full 4-year degree. And then after that, you start working right away. And so that brings me up here to New York, and that's where I've been for the last 3 years. Yeah.
Amazing. Can you paint a picture for our students of a day in the life of a PA?
Oh, yes. Being a PA is the greatest thing ever. I love my job. I enjoy going to work every single day. I love my patients. I love my families. So getting up and going to work has always been a joy. Obviously, there are some difficult days. Some days, you know, everybody shows up late and everything's running behind, and then there's some difficult cases thrown in there, and so that can be kind of challenging. But for the most part, I get up, I go to work every day. I get there at 8 o'clock. My schedule is typically about, well, pre-quarantine, it was about 20 to 25 patients a day. And so in that would be, I would have some newborn checkups, I would have some, you know, well baby checks, I would do a couple sore throats or ear infections in between. And then I come home every day at 5 o'clock, and you know, and that was really what kind of drove me into. I wanted that work-life balance. I wanted to be able to come home every day after my job.
I love it. I love it. Are
Yeah.
there any misconceptions that you would like to get students to understand or support or clarify, if you would, about your field, the PA field, if there are any misconceptions?
I'm sure that there are. I do think that the name physician assistant is a little misleading, because really we don't assist anybody. You know, we are our own provider. I have my own patients. I take care of them. I don't, you know, it's just kind of me. I do have a physician supervisor who is always there to help me and kind of guide me if I have any questions or anything. But so that's kind of one big misconception, is just the assistant part. I don't really assist.
Great point. Students, please feel free. Oh, I believe we have a question. Oh, I'm glad Leah said that. Yes, Leah is the co-host. Please feel free to ask questions at any time. You guys, especially who are interested in this field, we have a professional right here with us today, so please take advantage of this opportunity. I don't want to hog all the questions. Questions. So, what do you love most about your job, your career field, and what do you like, I guess, and what do you, I guess, wouldn't prefer or dislike the least? So the most and the least.
Sure. Well, so being a PA, there's so many things that you can pick. Like, you can go into any specialty that you want. You can go into hospital, you can go into surgery. I mean, there's a huge range of what you can pick. I picked something that brings me so much joy. Like, I love children. I love children of all ages. So I knew that was something I really wanted to do, as well as, you know, where I wanted to work. I wanted to be somewhere rural, because I feel like the challenges are a little bit different, and I feel a little bit more appreciated, and you know, they're a little underserved. So I did want to give back and kind of serve communities. So I don't know that I have a favorite part of my job. You know, I really just, my patients, probably that's my favorite part. They're fantastic. So that's my favorite. Not so favorite part is because I did pick a rural community and there's not many resources around, that there's a lot of extra challenges with that. So we have, you know, families who can't afford to, you know, eat, or, you know, they don't have a car, they don't have a working cell phone, you know, there's a lot of extra challenges. So that's just a little bit more difficult.
Great. And we have a question here. And the question is, what is the difference between physician and physician assistant within the job?
Oh, I love that question.
And thank you, Rihanna. That's from Rihanna.
So if you ask me, I don't think that we do very different things. I work with a few physicians, I work with PAs, I work with other like nurse practitioners who are very similar to my degree level. And where I'm at, we do the same work. We all see patients, we all diagnose them, we all order tests, you know, x-rays or blood work. we all treat them, we prescribe medications, we, things like that. So, in my setting, we do essentially the same job. In other settings like surgery, it would be a very different, the surgeons do surgery, and then the PAs would mostly assist in surgery, holding tools or, a little extra stuff in there.
All right. I love the questions. We have another question from Hayden. How many years of schooling total does it take to be a physician assistant?
Okay, so if you go straight through, I did not go straight through. You graduate from high school and you start college. It's a 4-year bachelor's degree, so that's 4 years first. And then most PA schools are about 2 years. Some of them are about 2.5 years. So that's 6 years total, 6.5.
Okay, are there any questions? Oh. What is the hardest thing about dealing with patient families or parents?
Oh boy.
Great questions, students.
I know, I love
Amazing.
that. So, there are some difficult parents out there. Let's see. Most of the time when they come to see me, there's something that they're worried about. And so, trying to dig out exactly what they're worried about and trying to reassure them can be very challenging, definitely very challenging. You have to have the right, demeanor. You have to be, empathetic to them and their concerns. Even if it's not, oh, that's not a big deal. Why are you worried about that? You can't, you've got to keep it professional and happy, and you've got to keep yourself, your own stuff behind when you walk into that room and see the patients and their parents.
Wow. I know you mentioned that you discussed quickly about the population that you service. Can you dissect that a little bit further for our audience? Talk about the families that you service. Why is it that you elected to work with that field, that population of individuals? Can you kind of talk to us about that further, please?
Sure. Just personally, I had a couple rotations in, like, I don't want to sound, crude, but well-off populations versus, the more rural, underserved population. And they just didn't seem as appreciative. It felt like more, we were a restaurant and they were coming to order, oh, my kid has an ear infection, I need antibiotics. Instead of coming to me saying, there's something wrong, I need you to help me. And so I do feel like I am a little bit more appreciated, and I feel a little bit more like I'm giving myself to the community and giving them education that they probably wouldn't get anywhere else.
Perfect. All right, Mason has a question. What sort of classes do you take in college? What majors do you go in before the med school part?
So this is what's really cool about PA school. You can have any degree in anything as long as it's a bachelor's degree, and you can get into PA school. I went to a few people who have just basic art degrees, and they get into PA school. There are prerequisites to get into PA school. So there's, you have to have your basic sciences like chemistry, biology, definitely like anatomy and physiology. So, science-y classes as prerequisites. And that's why I picked a science, because those were all in the science degree. So I didn't have to take anything extra. But, you can pick anything. The admissions to get into PA school, they do look a lot at your science GPAs though. So that can sometimes kind of sway you in one direction or the other when you pick a major.
Wow. Sid, we have another question from Sid. I've heard medical schools are difficult. What are some things you did to get through it?
Oh my goodness. It is the hardest thing, I think. It was so challenging. However, I will say, working full-time, getting my bachelor's degree and going to school full-time was almost just as challenging. You know, there was not much free time in there to, you know, hang out with friends or, you know, it was mostly work, school, study, sleep. So getting into PA school, it's almost more than a full-time job. Class was like 8 to 6 every day, Monday through Friday. Very rarely had a day off. Very rarely was it a half day. And then there was, you know, quizzes and exams every other day, sometimes daily. So every night was full of studying, and that can wear on a person when there's not many breaks. I was very, very strict about sleep. So sleep is my big thing. I know that I can't go without sleep. You know, many of my classmates were staying up until 2 or 3 in the morning studying, and every night, 9 o'clock, I said, I have to go to bed. This is what I'm doing. So sleeping, having a good schedule that you still are taking care of yourself is very important. Making sure that you are exercising and eating and things like that.
Perfect. Students, you guys are just really rocking and rolling with these questions, so I'm so excited.
Yes, I love them.
I know. Round of applause. Ashlyn has a question. What types of undergraduate degrees are the best for going to physician assistant schools?
Well, I don't know that I have a good answer for that. So probably something science related, chemistry, biology. Some people did come into PA school switching career paths. So we had some people that were changing from doing, you know, physical therapy. So, I mean, you could go into physical therapy and decide to change your mind. But there was, you know, I don't know that there's a best degree. They do kind of look at the whole picture when they pick students to enter the program. So it's not most, you know, it's not all about school and the grades. There's a lot more that kind of goes into the application process and that sort of thing. I can talk about that more if you want.
We can come back to that question. We have one more question from Maya. Did you have any trouble adjusting from your high school study habits to your college /medical school study habits? Great question. Great
yes. Question. Yes. I in high school I tended to be a very good student. I always had pretty good grades. And I also found that I didn't, you know, really need to practice that much. And they teach you a lot in school and then you go home and kind of practice what you learn. I did find that changing over to college was a little bit more of a self-learning thing. So just going to class and listening wasn't enough anymore. So I struggled a little bit, you know, changing into studying instead of just showing up.
Perfect. Are there any more questions? Because we can go back to the question that we just, okay, I don't see any. So let's go back to the question. What is the application process for getting into PA school? Thanks, Leah.
So it's pretty intense when you get the application part ready. There's a lot of pieces that go into it. They do look at your high school GPA. They look at all of your individual grades from every college class. You have to, there's a big online system where everything, it guides you through it, but you have to enter everything individually. They don't want just your transcript. So there's getting all your grades, all of your classes, and then you also, there's a requirement for patient hours. You have to be able to have direct patient care experience. So like I said in the very beginning, I was a medical assistant before that. So I had tons and tons and tons of patient care hours. And that looks different for everybody. So some people volunteered at, hospitals, or some people volunteered with, you know, really anywhere, as long as you have, patient contact hours. So that's part of it. And you also have to write a personal statement. So, why you want to go into medicine, why you specifically would want to be a physician assistant, just telling them about yourself and making yourself stand out is a big deal too. Yeah.
Great. So what advice would you give our future PA assistants today? Like what tools can they put in their toolkit? What advice, what suggestions, what things should they do now while they're in high school? Because we have the professional, the expert right in front of us. So what advice would you give them now?
I don't know that I'm an expert. um, my biggest advice is don't give up. If you want it, you can do it. I had the cards stacked against me going into it. Nobody in my family had even graduated from college ever. I was the first one. And so that was enough. Okay, you graduated from college. That's good. It took me 8 years to graduate from college, working full time. It's hard. But I didn't give up. I knew that I wanted something more and something bigger. And I feel like being a PA is that bigger thing. I'm able to give back and I can take care of people, and I didn't give up. And you can do it too.
I love it. I love it. And we have another question from Mason. You guys are just really filling my bucket today. This has just been the best part of my day. I love, love, love this. What sort of volunteer jobs are available for high school students in the medical field?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I did not volunteer anywhere for anything. Um, I got that additional certificate so that I could work as an MA, because I wanted to get paid while I was having my patient care hours, and this is what introduced me to the field. I will say that most of my peers in PA school did some sort of work to get their patient care hours. So, working as a nurse assistant, those are all pretty, easy to get into. So that's what a lot of people did.
And I will also suggest future leaders, research, do those cold calls, find out what hospitals or private agencies are willing to allow you guys to volunteer. So this would be the perfect time to just tap into your research, Google several hospitals or private practices, and see what you should do or what you can do in order to volunteer. And we have another question. Do you have to declare a specialty while in medical school?
So in physician assistant school, so it's different from medical school in that you do not have to ever declare a specialty. You graduate having all of the basic knowledge to do every specialty out there. Most of the things that you learn would be on the job. So, you kind of get, like I said, a basic understanding of pretty much every specialty. So there's that.
Perfect. So we have about 5 minutes left. If there are any final questions or comments, please feel free to do so now. But again, this has just been such a treat for me. The person I'm filling in for Krista Harmon. She is the facilitator originally, but due to some things beyond our control, she's not here. So I'm grateful that I can fill in, but this has definitely been a treat for me. We have another question. What's the main difference? Oh, two more. I love it. What's the main difference between med school and PA school? That's the first one.
Sure. So the typical medical school would be 4 full years of in school. They call that didactic learning. So you show up every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You have 4 full years of that. And then once you have that, then you have 4 full years of a residency program that's where you would pick a specialty and you would go work in that for lower pay than a typical physician would make. Then once you have your fellowship, then you can go out and work. PA school is, we take that 4 years of didactic learning and we put it into about a year and a half. And then we have 1 full year of clinical rotation. So every 6 weeks we go see another specialty and we kind of learn on the job during that time. So instead of that 8 full years of learning, it's pushed down into 2.5. That's the biggest difference. Another difference, because it's so short, is because you don't get as in-depth knowledge as you would going through the full med school program.
And we have our final question for Maya. Do you have any regrets?
No way. No way. I would do this all over again 1,000,000 times over. You know, I said it was challenging and it's the hardest thing I've ever done, and that's not, I would do it again. I love this career. I love being a PA. The opportunities are endless. I could decide tomorrow that I didn't want to do pediatrics anymore. I could go do surgery, and then that's great. I can do that. No regrets ever.
I love it. Well, I just want to take this time to just thank you guys for an amazing career chat. Sandra, thank you so much. We are grateful that you have provided us with your insight, just your knowledge. I am confident that we have 2 minutes. Can we ask one more question? Emily, you made it. You made it right in time. What made you become a physician assistant?
I don't know. Everything about the job. The reduced amount of schooling, the flexibility you have. Like I said, I wanted an 8 to 5 and I wanted to come home every night. Some people that I went to school with are doing 20-hour shifts at the hospital, and I did not want that. But there's flexibility. You can pick whatever you want to do, and you can still make a huge difference in the medical field. You can make the difference in people's lives. You're saving lives all the time. It's fantastic.
I love it. Thank you all so much. Again, this information is recorded, so we will have this available and it will be available to you. Thank you so much, Sandra. This was amazing. Thank you, Leah. A round of applause, students. This was amazing. This was my first and I loved it.
It was my first too.
Oh, great. So thank you
again. I'm sorry.
Please.
Can I just say that if anybody is even considering this or want to just talk about it, what's the next step? What do we do? Feel free to email me. I'm always available.
All right, and let me share that information. Oh, I can't. Okay, I guess I won't. But we will make sure that we provide that information to you. If you can, we have your names. We'll make sure that we'll forward this all to you in our registration and any other information you may need. Thank you again for an amazing career chat. We hope that this day is amazing for you. Take care, everyone.